following is a dead bug documentary. If you're watching it anywhere else than my channel, then some thieving fuck stole it. Is it possible that a loved one can say goodbye to us from the abyss? Yeah, I know what you're thinking, but for one red-hot minute, suspend your doubt, retard your disbelief. Because who said that death is the end? The same egghead who says that the Lord is watching over us? A cold December night. The type of night where every retard is stuck to a telephone pole by his tongue. Nice. That's fucking nice. When Nina DeSanto were closing up her New Jersey hair salon, as she was sweeping up, she heard someone behind her.
Hello.
They were Michael. You're one of her customers. He'd been going through a bad patch in his life. His wife had left him. She'd been having an affair with his stepbrother. Fucking bitch. And she just got custody of the young daughter. A bit shaken by Michael's unexpected visit, Nina told him that she were closing but could do his hair in the morning. But Michael told her that he hadn't come for a haircut. He'd come to thank her for how supportive she'd been over the past few months, helping him with his personal crises and whatnot. They hugged, and then they said goodbye. And with the next morning, when she came into the salon and she was doing a woman's hair, she got a phone call from a friend who said that they'd found Michael's body and that he'd hanged himself. And he'd been in his apartment for over a week, swinging from the ceiling. A distraught Nina said that they were impossible, that she'd only seen him the night before, and that they'd hugged and promised to have coffee the next day. Her friend told her that she couldn't have seen Michael because he were on ice in the morgue, and that the only way that Nina was going to be meeting him for coffee were if they had a Starbucks in the abyss.
If someone were to ask me
If I were a believer or a non-believer in regards to the afterlife, I would have to state that I'm on the side of none. And I believe that anybody goes around telling ghost stories are a bit soft. And if you're a guy and you do it, for me it means you're a fucking sissy. Nothing personal. That's just my viewpoint on it. But on the other hand, it is hard to deny the undisputable accounts that have been documented, where people have had experience with loved ones who have passed on. And even I have had specific occurrences in my life where I feel maybe I'm being a bit too hard on the believers and I should re-examine these paranormal anomalies. But then I think, fuck that, bunch of sissies. But either way, we will now explore these happenings
together.
It is now known by what paranormal investigators call crisis apparition, where a family member, a loved one, a friend, or someone who's meant something to someone appears to them after they've died to say goodbye. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. And although a lot of people think it may seem creepy, for others, there's a sense of closure and comfort, knowing that a loved one or a friend has come to say goodbye. I've been hoping my ex-wife would knock on my door and tell me goodbye for some time now, but as we speak, she's still alive. The term crisis apparition came into existence just after 9/11, when an almost uncountable number of friends and family came forward saying they'd been contacted after their loved ones had been killed in the terror attack. The lost souls, among other things, had made phone calls, even showed up at the house and changed their clothes. One scientific theory is that someone who is in crisis, meaning the terminally ill or dying, telepathically transmit an image of themselves to someone that they have a close relationship with, but they are usually unaware that they are sending this message. Others suggest that these apparitions are guardian angels sent to comfort the grieving. Another popular theory, and the one I lean towards, says that it's all a trick of the brain and that the people in mourning unconsciously produce apparitions to console themselves after losing a loved one. And not all apparitions are limited to visions. The spirit of a dead person can communicate with a loved one through something as subtle as the whiff of your favorite perfume or your favorite music. I'm guessing old people smell like ham. But whatever reasons the eggheads come up with, it's hard to discount the numbers of people who claim to have seen these apparitions. Little Josh was Raymond's first grandkid, and the two of them were inseparable. Fishing, watching sports, or just hanging out. You never saw one without the other, people in the small town would lament. But that would all change when Raymond was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer and given weeks to live. Josh was 12 at the time, visiting his grandfather in the hospital, keeping a bedside vigil as he slipped in and out of consciousness. When the kid went home at about 2 a.m. to get some sleep, he was woken up, and the grandfather was standing over him. Startled, the young teen asked his grandfather why he wasn't in the hospital. It was then that his grandfather looked at him and softly spoke. "Everything will be okay." He then slowly turned and started to walk down the hallway. As Josh went to follow him, the phone rang, and his mother answered it, and she started sobbing and yelled out, "Josh, your papa's gone. Your granddad's dead." The English Moors, just as it's known for its beauty and its panoramic views, it is known for its long history of death and loss. It is on these English moors that the notorious serial killer Ian Brady and his evil accomplice Myra Hindley laid their sweet young victims to rest. Where after the reservoir were built, the bodies may never be found. They were in 2011 on a family day trip at the popular beauty spot and hiking area that a family stopped to have their picture taken. It was then that the weather started to turn, so the would-be fashion gurus and sightseers returned to their car. They were once at the parking lot. They discovered an ambulance and fire engine. When they inquired, they'd found out a young boy had drowned in the reservoir. Once on their drive home, checking back on the photos, they discovered an anomaly in the last photo taken of what appears to be the hand of a child. Perhaps the 14-year-old boy who drowned in the reservoir that day. And with a 14-foot drop at the popular beauty spot, some may say difficult to fake. Experts who've taken a look at the camera and the photos say they have not been doctored, with many left wondering if it were the lost soul of 12-year-old Keith Bennett reaching out from the abyss. So what is it with this world, this race, these raggedy bones and memories that we hang on to so dearly? All we have to do is look around and see death. We got pictures to prove that much. And death, it's a bounty hunter that stalks us at every corner. And what are you to me but just a memory? Bent up old photograph. There were a wise egghead philosopher who once said, "Death is all around us, and all we gotta do is open up our eyes to see it." But the one thing that egghead philosopher never told us is if that death is the final destination, Or if one day we gotta expect someone knocking on our door, wanna come in for a cup of tea.